Hello friends, as you requested me to do a VLOOKUP function, how to use the VLOOKUP function, let me take this mock paper question, the cost calculation. VLOOKUP is quite easy. You can even use a lookup function here, lookup or VLOOKUP, and I'm going to show you both. Right now in this particular question, we have two worksheets. One is the wages, the other one is criterias. Actually we don't say criteria, right? Criterias. I think it should be criteria. Who made this? Okay. We have the second worksheet with some values. We have hourly rate and expected hours, right? So what we need to do is we need to fill hourly rate and expected hours right here. But how are we going to do that? Are we going to look at this sheet and type them manually? No, that's not going to work, right? You have only 3 hours to finish your exam. The best thing is to look for a common field. Is there a match? Just like relationships in a database. Well, you have this pay type. You have pay type here, you have pay type there, right? So all you got to do is just compare these two pay types in both worksheets, and then if there's a match found, you can bring them up here and fill hourly rate and expected hours. Okay, for doing this we have two methods. One is using VLOOKUP, the other is using lookup. It's just lookup, right? So let me show you lookup first. Now when you're using lookup, remember this is going to be your lookup table. Well, even if you use VLOOKUP, this will be your lookup table, because you are always looking up a table. Looking up means you are checking with another table. A similar implementation is there in the computer where your password is checked against a lookup table to verify you when you authenticate yourself, right? So here this is the lookup table. When you're using lookup function, you need to make sure that this lookup table is sorted in ascending order of the matching field, which is the pay type. So how do you sort? You select the whole table like this and you go to data. Always use this sort option and make sure my data has headers is selected. Select the column that you want to sort, that is pay type, smallest to largest, that's ascending order, right? It's already sorted, right? I just showed you how to sort, but it was already sorted, right? Okay, now the thing is to use the lookup function, right? Lookup, don't try to type the lookup function, it's going to be complicated, you will mess it up. So click on fx to insert the function, and I have actually used these two functions earlier, so I can get it from here, but let me show you how to get it for the first time. You must go to all and you can type L really fast, then it will scroll down to lookup. Say OK, select the first option where there are 3 parameters: the lookup value, lookup vector, result vector. Vector is a range, right? Lookup value is the one that we are going to compare, that is pay type. For this record it's pay type, this one, B2. Lookup vector is with what you are going to compare this B2 with what you are going to compare this value. It's in criterias. See how it comes. It comes with the name of the worksheet followed by an exclamation mark, and you need to select all the pay types there. So when you are using lookup, remember you select only the values, not the title. And also you must remember, since I am going to copy that formula or function to multiple cells, by default Excel is using relative cell addressing, which means according to the function that I am copying, it will increase the cell addresses. But you know, every time I need to look at these values only from A2 to A4. It can't increment, which means I have to make this absolute cell referencing, which will lock the cell range. To do that, you have to press function key F4 on your keyboard. So let me do that. Okay, which will add dollar signs automatically and make it absolute, right? So don't forget to make it absolute, right? It is important in lookup and VLOOKUP both. Now the result vector is if you found a match, where are you bringing the results from? What is the range of results that you want? Okay, I want the hourly rate. Where is it? It's in criterias. It should be criterias. Select all the hourly rates, the values, only the values, not the title, right? Again, it should be made absolute because I don't want this to be incremented, right? Already I'm getting a result 18 for number 2. Okay, and then just copy this down. To copy down, you can just double click on this fill handle, right? There you go. For number 2 I am getting 18, right? The whole idea of using lookup is that you see that number 2 is repeating. Now what if you had like thousands of values, right? And later on you are going to change the hourly rate from 18 to 25 or something. Are you going to change each and every one? No. That's where lookup comes in. All you got to do is just change it in the lookup table to 25 and all the instances will be changed immediately. How good is that? Right, so that's lookup function, right? Okay, let me use VLOOKUP to get the expected hours, expected work hours, right? So when you're using VLOOKUP, you don't really need to bother about the sorting. It doesn't matter, right? So that's one of the advantages in VLOOKUP. So again, fx, if you're going through all, you can type VLOO really fast, like that. Okay, now this one is again having 3 parameters, mainly 3 parameters. Lookup value, just as before, it's number 2, B2. Table array, this time it's table array, which means you need to select the whole lookup table, including the titles. So there's no restriction, you don't need to select only the values, the whole table. Again, it has to be made absolute because I'm going to copy this down, right? Now instead of the result vector, what you have is something called column index number. That is, you just need to give a number that represents the column which has result values, okay? And it says columns are starting with 1. The first column of values in the table is column 1, right? Now I really can't go back to criteria. If you remember, because it will change the formula, if you remember the lookup table, it had the first column as the pay type, second column as the hourly rate, third column as the expected work hours, right? So I need to put number 3 here because that's the index of the column which I have results. If it is hourly rate, of course it should be 2. 3 means is the expected work hours, the third column. So I want the third column, okay, and fill it. And always don't forget to double check. For number 2 it should be 160. Yes, we are getting 160. And also just change 160 and see whether it gets changed. 170. Yes, all of them get changed, right? So that's VLOOKUP. So let me again show you how it looks like in the formula bar. See, lookup B2, 3 parameters are there. B2, that's the lookup value, this is the lookup vector, and this is the result vector, right? In VLOOKUP B2, that's the lookup value, and what was this called, the table array, lookup value, the table array, and the column index. Column index is the number of the column where the results are, starting from 1. The first column is number 1. Hope it's clear. It's up to you to decide which lookup you are going to use, whether it is VLOOKUP or just lookup. Personally I think VLOOKUP would be more appropriate and easy for you because you don't need to sort. One thing is you don't need to sort, and you don't need to select only the values. You can select the whole table, but it can be a bit confusing with the column index, right? On the other hand, lookup, if you get used to lookup, it will be much more easier than VLOOKUP, but you need a bit more practice in lookup. And remember, the lookup table has to be sorted. Hope it answered your query, the question, and solved your doubts. Bye.